Okay.
Why is it scheduled for the second?
We're being,
Well, I think that was miscommunication on my part. I cleaned it and sent it out for the Fed. Should have been for the.
I thought it was every second Tuesday. We're here now with it.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, thank you.
we should be ready to go. I think we should be good now. So we can start. We'll see if Mike gets in. I'm gonna keep working on it while. But we can start anytime we're ready.
Time is 5:37, and we can start the meeting. And good evening, everyone. Trevor, would you like to do a call to order?
Yes, so, Commission Member Ruiz. Here. Commission Member Dolan.
Here.
Commission Member Bloomer.
Here.
Commission Member Aguirre might be joining us. We'll see. And then Chair Moore.
Sure. Okay, thank you. We can go over the minutes from, I don't have a date here. Our last meeting was some time ago. Do we have any minutes in here too?
It's been a little bit, so we might not have had the
Okay.
minutes updated at this point in time, but we will definitely have, it's been a little while, we'll definitely have some minutes for you.
Okay, so we'll just make it, note that, next time we meet, we'll have some minutes from
Yeah,
the last meeting.
There might be one or two series of minutes. that we-
Okay, all right. And moving down to number 4, the active agenda.
Let's see.
Item number 1, Salgado annexation 23.
All right, thank you guys. So I'm going to be presenting the Salgado staff report. I will make this quick for us. So if you can go to the second page, will be the starting of the staff report. It says that the request for the annexation of approximately 4.89 acres into the city of Sunnyside with the zoning of a high-density residential. The location is approximately 0.32 miles north of Washout Road and Beckner Alley intersection, approximately 0.33 miles south of Washout Road and Vanderbilt Road intersection. The parcel is 23101923404. Applicant was Hector Salgado. The current existing zoning is single-family residential in the county. The comprehensive plan calls it a urban residential agriculture, but that no longer exists, which then deems it as an R1. But the land use that they are requesting is an R3. The site description is the property in the area mostly rural, undeveloped fields and rural housing. This was attached to a SEPA. No, this was not attached to a SEPA because it was exempt from annexations that are being exempt from per the RCW. Findings and facts. We will go on to proceed. So the.
If I may interrupt for just a second, Mr. Aguirre is with us, so he'll be speaking from.
I'm here.
Okay.
Hi, Mike.
Hello.
All right, so the overall site description is accessed via Washout Road and is generally flat. The property has a barn, split level house that is not occupied, has a septic tank, and is on a well. An open ditch is located along the west side of the property that faces Washout Road. That is classified as a freshwater emergent wetland. The adjacent uses, the site is an urban residential area. The classified zone is a single family residential, and it is vacant. To the north, urban residential agriculture, single family. but it is occupied. To the south, public facilities, which is the Sunnyside School. It is obviously a public school. To the east, it is public facilities, which is also the Sunnyside School. And then to the west is urban residential agriculture, single family, and it is agriculture land and vacant. So the procedure that we took, the city authorized to recommend zoning for the annexation as set forth in the S&C. Do I need to read that?
Not the whole.
Great.
Just give a reference of the check.
All right, the chapter is 1764-090. Notice was sent out a few times just because we've had to do rescheduling of the planning commission. So the first one was on February 28th. The background of this was on December 20th, 2023, Hector Salgado submitted an annexation into the city. January 17th, 2024, it was a letter of completeness. On February 12th, the city council carried out the resolution authorizing the city to continue to annexation of parcel on the Washout Road. This public hearing on, it should say, on March 12th allows for the public to comment on any parts of the proposal and allow for the applicant staff to adjust the proposal before it being potentially submitted to the city council for the approval or disapproval of the planning commission's recommendations. After that, the city council reviews and makes the decision on the annexation. A notice of the annexation will be submitted to the Yakima County Boundary Review Board. Once the application is deemed complete by the Boundary Review Board Chief Clerk, the NOI will be mailed to affected agencies, which will commence the 45-day review period for involving jurisdiction by other agencies. Following expiration of the 45-day deadline, the jurisdiction has not been invoked. The city will be notified, and that an ordinance of annexation approval may be adopted. Upon the city council adopting the ordinance determining zoning, the Boundary Review Board Chief Clerk will report this ordinance and the associated annexation documents with the Yakima County Auditor's Office. All right, so to kind of just go over what this lot is and how it is involved with our code, how this would actually be in line with what we want to do as a city. So currently right now it is in the R1 zoning regulations. I'm gonna kind of just skim through these. These are the R1 zoning regulations, like I said. Sorry, the R3 zoning regulations, not R1. There are 3 zoning regulations, the density that's permitted, the permitted use for it. It is a bit of a jump up from the R1, but as you guys have kind of read through the zoning classifications around it, around the whole site, it really wouldn't be that much of a deterrent. It wouldn't really be too bad. There's also the dimensional standards, the yards, zero lot line development, which I'm pretty sure they are not looking to do. The land use elements that we are going to be kind of going over, or how it is involved with the comprehensive plan and how it is consistent with it. So goal 1 of our comprehensive plan is to manage, develop according to the severity of natural constraints in order to reduce risk and minimize damage to life and property. My response to that was, as noted above, it is an open ditch along the west side of the property, following from north to south according to Washington State Ecology. The ditch is a freshwater wetland. To address those natural conditions, land use and practices that together could result in loss of water quality will be investigated before any development on the property is permitted. So that's kind of me reiterating and saying, hey, we recognize that this is here and this will be a contingency that they will have to do if they want to develop on that land. Goal number 2 is to coordinate land use to maximize lots of natural resources due to urbanization and reduce uncertainty and unpredictable development, which sacrifices conservation and sound land management. My response to that was, prior to any development of the land, the city staff will require a development service meeting. The department shall provide feedback on the proposed development with the purpose to address any safety concerns, environmental obstacles, recommendations, for more comprehensive development or violations to the SMC that we see. The meeting will include the planning department, building department, public works department, the city engineer, and the fire department. All right, goal number 3, to actively manage land use change and protect the city's character by developing city facilities and services in the way that directs and controls land use patterns and entities. My response to that was designating the property area as an R3 high density residential through annexation will catalyze the revitalization of residential development within the vicinity. Properties adjacent to the city limits, yet within the urban growth area, hold promising potential for incorporation into the city boundaries, fostering further residential expansion. The city has already exceeded the projected growth rate outlined in the comprehensive plan. Addressing these demands for additional residential housing is imperative to ensure that the provisions of secure and accessible environment to the burgeoning population. All right, and then I have 2 more. Try to make it quick. Goal 4, to pursue well-managed, orderly expansion of the urban area in a manner that is within the sustainable limits of the land. My response to that is, despite the prevalence of single-family homes in the surrounding areas, situating this property within a high-density residential zone will offer a diverse array of housing options. The city requires a blend of residential developments to accommodate the diverse socioeconomic demographics. The integration of single-family and multifamily housing will contribute to dismantling cultural boundaries, addressing historical redline practices, and dispelling microconceptions about income and character. And then my last one for the goal for the housing development, to provide safe and sanitary housing for all persons within the community, support the development of housing stock that meets varied needs and present the community while attracting higher income residents. My response to that is city staff has an objective to encourage the construction of new units to increase the local housing supply. This project will provide an approximate mix of housing types, incentives such as single-family housing development with potential of ADUs. And then we will follow on to the recommendation. Staff recommends that the subject property be annexed into the city of Sunnyside and the property be zoned R3 high density residential. So that is the end of my staff report. Please ask any questions, and if council doesn't have any questions, then we can call Hector to come present if he has, or if you guys have any questions for him.
I do have one question. I had a question. I see all the notices that were sent out, newspaper, etc. Did anyone call the city hall, or did you get any feedback, email, letters from any neighbors?
I didn't receive any from any neighbors. I didn't receive anything from anybody. Yeah, nobody wrote in. So
somebody had called with, maybe somebody had called me saying that somebody might call in, but we never received that phone call or anything like that, so.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom. Sorry. I think you asked what I'm gonna ask. Go ahead.
One question I had was the property located directly east of this plat, is that school district property?
Let's see if I can find a map for it. Yeah.
It's just got a number listed here. So.
I'm guessing it's probably school district because of the way it's.
Yeah, directly to the south and the east, yeah, that's all school district property right there. Sign, there we go. Yeah, this is all school district right here.
That's, about east of that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's also.
this is also school
Yeah.
district up here.
That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, it's all public facility. Yeah, it's all school district. Which one? It's the, yeah, school district 201. Yep.
I have a question,
Oh,
if it's my turn to speak. If this is on or not.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Is the city gonna incur any cost to this, providing water and sewer to the property?
No, so as
it's at
part
the school.
yeah, it's at the school, so I can kind of show you here. So right in this area, that's a water line right here with a hydrant. So any sort of development would be required to extend water and sewer to the north, and then or water to the north, and then sewer is this green manhole right here. That's available to the site already. They might have to pull it north across the top of their site, but
Okay, so that's just a cost that the city provides the service
um,
to extend the lines?
we don't extend the line, applicant, the developer extends the line.
Oh, okay, so that'd be a cost of development, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I will also note that no development has been proposed yet. This is just strictly for the annexation. So.
Okay, thank you.
And council sent it to us.
Yeah.
For this
Mhm.
decision to be annexed.
Yeah, so we want to determine how we want to bring it in, what zoning district we want to bring it in today, yeah. Yeah. If you have any questions for Mr. Salgado, he is here today to answer them if he wishes to, yes.
I'm here. Have you started any plans for development, or you just?
I have not. I just decided to do the annexation, and then I have several ideas, but nothing on paper yet.
Personally, I think it's fabulous, because if you did that, there'd be a short walk to school for a lot of kids probably.
My kids just walk to the school.
And I know that we have had some interest to the west here. This lot right here, there's been some heavy interest on trying to get this into city limits. City services are available, that might come before us sometime in the future, but extending the sewer line would sure help any sort of future development here as well, so that's just a little food for thought there.
Is there anything in that lot, that 14004? Currently, is that just?
No, that's just vacant.
Just-
There might be a little house there, I think there's actually, yeah, a little farmhouse, that's what
Mr. Salgado, I had heard rumblings about you wanting to put in 7 units, is that what you were, one of your ideas?
Now I have more ideas.
Uh-huh.
One of the ideas is to build a facility for education and provide education for the youth. That's one of the ideas. The other one is to build housing for elders. That's another idea, and plus do the subdivisions for individual houses. It just depends on what really is out there to do,
Right.
and it's up to you guys basically.
So if we go R3, there's no distance allowed in R3 zoning. So I think that you should have a solid plan exactly what you want. Because let's say you want to do housing, you're in R3 zoning now. Okay, so that's why, let's say if you want to do a business such as a learning facility, you know,
That will not be really a business, it will be basically a nonprofit organization.
So if he does a school, it would have to go in front of the hearing examiner as a conditional use. If you did a school, so it would be available, but it'd be a conditional use.
Yeah, for now, it would be perfect the way we're setting it up. Now, if I partner up with the school district and the state to help them either for education or for elderly, it'll be available for either way.
How far does that urban road line go to the north?
This computer does not have internet, but I will tell you right here.
No internet? What happened?
Not on this one, because this one's connected to our network. This one is connected to my phone's hotspot.
It is such a pain.
So the urban growth area goes, 1, 2, 3, well, so including Mr. Salgado's lot, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lots to the north, yeah, in the urban growth area.
We could time extend that sewer.
Did you have any questions for us, Mr. Salgado?
No, I'm just here to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Okay. Commissioners, did you have any more questions?
So where does the canal go on the west side?
The canal goes right in the front of the property, so it looks basically like a large drainage ditch. That's basically what it is, but just on the ecology website, it just is, it's,
It's one of those SBID,
yeah.
open ditches that's been aerial classified as a wetland, but as soon as you pipe it, the wetland status goes away, so that's.
And that's what happened right there in front of the school.
Yeah.
It covered it.
They actually asked me if I wanted to pipe it all the way out there, but I didn't have the funds at that moment. So it might be coming up in the future.
Yeah, they'll probably want you to pipe it, which would probably be to your benefit in the long
Yeah,
run.
most definitely.
Was there anyone online that had any questions for Mr. Salgado?
Just Mr. Aguirre, other than that, I'm the only other one logged in.
Okay. Mike, did you have any questions?
No, I mean, I think this would be a good opportunity to get some housing and more housing out there. We're always shortage of housing. I think the area with the boundary of the school will be fine for both parties, I would feel. I'm kind of in the same situation where I'm at. We live behind Washington and everything seems to be fine for both parties. So I think it'll be a good thing for us to move forward on that.
The city definitely benefits from having this annexed into our area, that's for sure. I don't have any more questions. Thank you, Mr. Salgado.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, so the next item would be a motion from the commission, if you're so inclined.
So do we want to annex on R3 if he's considering going or making a conditional use?
So I'll just clarify that. So, if he comes in as R3, he would be able, depending on the number of lots he wants to do, that would just be either, if it's a long plat, it'll come before us again. If it's a short plat, it'll just be processed by me. If he decides to go the route of the school, then it would go in front of the hearing examiner for the conditional use. So there will be options, if he comes in as an R3. It just kind of.
So has it already been switched to R3?
No, so we would be.
It would have to be, because I saw in there something about it was already.
It's in R1 currently right now because it's in the city. It's designated like an urban growth or
That would make more sense to do it later on the other one.
So let's say he does the R3 and then he wants to switch it to R1, then there will be a conditional.
No, so if he wants to do there's the R3 designation does not require you to do high density, but it gives you the option to do it. So if you wanted to scale back and just do some residential development, that's maybe he wants to do some small units or something like that. He still has that option, so he can still do an R1 development even though it's zoned R3. So this just gives them the most opportunity while still being a residential designation.
Well, I'd like to make a motion. I move to approve the resolution authorizing the annexation of parcel number 231-0323-1402.
And I will second that motion.
That doesn't have the same parcel number as. 2304, I don't see it on there. 404,
Yes.
it says 402.
Oh, sorry, that was what I had, y'all.
Oh, this was the
On his,
original
on
one.
his paperwork.
Sorry,
From-
I should probably get the latest version. I like to amend my.
This is on the paperwork here as well.
Oh,
Correct.
growing pains.
Thank you for understanding, you guys.
Oh, it's in this. Page is that 7.
Hit the bottom of page 7, number 9.
Yeah, and I did go out and do a drive-by out there, and it looks like it'd be an excellent spot for young families moving in to get their kids to school. Is what I was thinking when I went by. Okay, let's try it again. I move to approve a resolution authorizing for the annexation of parcel numbers 231-0323-140-4. No, that's
No,
still
that's
not
wrong.
right. So that's not it. Okay, so
The one on the back, this is the correct parcel number.
231.
The one that says parcel number 23101923404. That one is the correct one.
I don't have that one.
I don't have this one. The second page.
second page.
Here, I'll give you my paper. Let's see. So
I got-
it's right in the title.
I remember seeing the right one on here.
Here's that one.
Okay, here it is. Okay. Amendment number 3. I move to approve a resolution authorizing for the annexation of parcel numbers 231-01-923-404 with the zoning of R1 low density residential, and prior to the city council taking final action on this annexation, the notice of intention is to be completed by planning and community development supervisor and submitted to the Yakima Boundary Review Board for a 45-day review period.
Just to clarify, you meant high density residential, an R3 residential, not an R1. I know.
Coming in as R3?
You're coming in as R3. You motion, you have to amend it.
I thought we were starting with R1, he was gonna change to R3 when he had a plan.
That's up to you. If you wanted to go that route, that's up to you.
Well, I agree,
I think we should just do the R3 to make it easier on the city and then he has the options to do R1, R2, or R3. You agree?
oh, I thought maybe he wanted to come in as R1, so. Okay, and the amendment to that would be with the zoning of R3, high density residential. Prior to the city council taking final action on this annexation, the notice of intention is to be completed by planning and community development supervisor and submitted to the Yakima Boundary Review Board for a 45-day review period.
I second that motion.
So,
All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, so motion is passed. We have an R3 zone. Thank you, John.
that should not be embarrassing on your part. Trust me, it was my part. That is embarrassing.
Hey, it's growing pains.
Thanks.
We got it done.
Yes. All right, Trevor, when will that be?
So that'll go before the next council meeting on, the next council meeting will be on March 25th. So I'll be forwarding it to that council meeting, that council meeting.
Okay, you're presenting it to them at that council meeting. Thank you. All right, moving on to the next agenda. This was something that I have been kind of looped into. I wanted to talk about the landscaping standards. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
I wanted to chat with you guys about the landscaping standards, and this was something that kind of got brought to my attention, not because somebody brought it to my attention, but because I've been reviewing the code quite a bit, just with getting like more into the building and the planning development, and there's a few things that I would like to just point out to you guys that is in our landscaping standards, maybe one, just as an accountability measure on Trevor and Eisen, and then also two, just to kind of provoke some thought about how this could potentially be changed and how this could be a benefit to the city in the long run. I've highlighted a few things in here that I'm gonna mention and kind of hit these key points. And the reason I'm hitting these key points is because I think that there could be some potential for adjustment. So the first highlight is 1765-020A. It says, new development, the standards in this article apply to commercial development proposed after the effective date of this title, provided however that such standards shall not apply to commercial developments within the B3 retail core zone. These standards that you kind of look at, I think that the core zone is the downtown zone, but I think that we need to maybe identify that a little bit better, because there are some building developments that are in our downtown area that are not maybe as up to the landscape standards that they could be, because we say that it shall not apply. So I think that that would be something to explore on our end / the planning commission's end. So like I said, nothing to really be passed here, nothing really to be changed here, just some food for thought. The next one is the expansion of existing use. The requirements of this article shall apply to remodeling, expansion of existing use when the value of the new construction or alteration occurring within 2-year period is equal or greater to 50% of the assessed value of the existing structure. I was looking at other municipal codes around this area, and it's actually 25% versus 50%. So basically what that would state is that within a 2-year period, if they adjust it and they assess that the value is greater than 25% of the value, then they would have to adhere to the new landscaping standards. The next one, all pervious surfaces, a maximum of 10% of designated parking areas shall be landscaped with healthy and well-maintained plant material in a manner consistent with the typical high-quality business areas. Instead of doing 10%, I would want to say 20%. And that's just, once again, something that I saw in other municipalities. The next one, landscaping shall employ a variety of trees, shrub, ground covers, and lawn. The horizontal shade area of a mature crown of each tree incorporated in landscape planning should be used in the calculation with a minimum of 10% coverage requirement. This was just something that not too many municipalities had, and I just kind of wanted to highlight this as, is this something, how do we feel about the shade area? Do we want this to continue? Is this something that we would want to be counted as the ground coverage requirement, or would this be something that could be like an extra, just like an extra that they include? So that was just something that I noted. The next one is the bioswale landscape areas may contribute towards 10% minimum landscape requirement. Personally, I don't think bioswale should count as landscape. So even though it can count for a 10% minimum, I don't know how I feel about that one. Yeah, if you have any questions, go ahead.
So the bioswale,
Mm-hmm.
that would be similar to what you do with your riprap to maintain your water.
That'd be a drainage, correct?
Yeah, stormwater, containment, and, so 10% coverage requirement of ground cover, that would not include the riprap that you put into. I mean, none of this would include that. If you're calling it landscaping, wouldn't that include all your riprap too?
That is a good question.
Currently, it's can be included. So currently, right now, if you were to design a parking lot and part of that parking lot was a swale, that would be included in your current landscaping coverage standards.
So then at the bottom, you have parking areas. And I don't know if this should be included in what we're talking about, but it's kind of a sticking point at another situation. And this is part of landscaping for a commercial for B3, right? Not.
Yeah, just like any general commercial. Yep.
So that would have to be covered under something else, a different, because the number and size of parking stalls was something that we talked about at one point during our last project. There was not enough parking in our opinion.
Right. So I think that's a different area of the city municipal code. I think it's like 17, it's like the general requirements. I actually looked it up today for another project. But I think that the parking requirements, I guess, what exactly are you asking, or what exactly are you?
Well, with this new annexation coming in and his plans of high density residential, I just didn't want to have to stumble on that parking issue again. And I'm sure Trevor can fill you in on all the gory details of that one.
Oh, no.
It was just something that came up.
So I think the spot you're looking for is 1764-040, and we can definitely bring that back to you as well and make sure that these two things kind of coincide with one another, because yeah, if we're looking at multifamily housing, let's just go take a look right now. Single duplexes, triplexes, and mobile homes require 2 parking spaces for each unit. And then,
We were at 1.4.
yeah, so there is another spot in here.
Yeah, remember that was 1.4.
So yeah, I'm looking for it right now. There's another section here that talks about multifamily having, it's 1 per unit. Let me find it.
Yeah.
I know it's in there somewhere. Oh, there we go. Multiple dwellings, 1 parking space for each unit. Yeah. So anything over a triplex is cut down to 1, 1 per unit.
And why would they do that? It seemed like you would go.
You would think, yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking they're assuming that maybe if they're doing studios, it's just 1 person per studio. I'm not sure. I don't know when that was exactly added to our code.
It's like we're not in Seattle.
Yeah. Well, in the side, for Sunnyside, the SMC, this one hasn't been changed yet, so it probably would be something to look into, maybe.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely make a note of that.
Because I would think if you have a building with more dwellings, you need more parking spaces for mom, dad, and probably 2 high schoolers sharing a car or something.
The only thing that I will say with that is that with developers, we do want to keep Sunnyside, obviously, developer friendly, and I think that when we add in the price of how much it is for parking lots, you know how expensive parking lots are, they're really expensive. So I think trying to find that balance between navigating what we're gonna be asking for all developers, as like a baseline, whereas like if we get, you know, a development that is an X amount of housing units, then during our, like during the review process and what we can ask of them is that we can actually, I think this is true, we can ask that they create more parking spaces. So I think that yes, the municipal code states like minimum one parking lot per standard, but if there is a development that comes in that gets passed by you guys and you're like, okay, there needs to be more parking than what's permitted, then that's when you guys advocate and say, okay, this needs to be on some of the contingencies for the development. And you guys definitely have that position to do that.
That's what got us into trouble last time.
Is it?
Yeah, we won't get into it, we won't too much, but.
Okay, never mind, just.
Just an idea for changing the SMC to accommodate, Sunnyside, and that's the thing about, being able to change those SMCs. I'm sure easy to do all those other ones, I guess, but, the parking issue would be, do you wanna, deal with the police department on all the calls they're gonna get over people
Right, yeah.
fighting over parking spots?
Okay, let's work with what we've got here.
Okay.
I do have a question. I don't see anything about xeriscape. You know, like they do in Arizona where it's cactus and rocks and that kind of thing. Is that something we can fit in here? Because water is an issue, it's expensive. So are trees and plants and shrubs, and they're really very expensive.
Why be tempted?
Correct, yeah. Is that an option?
Yeah, we can definitely look at looking into xeriscape. I think that I thought that I saw that there was.
There was a small section on it, except for, it didn't really define what xeriscaping was, which I think was an issue. So if we want to get kind of more defined on what it means instead of, because I've seen it where they'll just lay down a bunch of river rock and say, here you go. If we want some like water resistant grasses or something, or drought resistant grasses, I mean, not water resistant, drought resistant grasses.
I can look at, sorry, go ahead.
They just did, when we put in that Ben Snipes cabin and did the cover for it, that was that xeriscape.
Xeriscaping?
And the reason I bring it up, two reasons. It's sometimes can be less expensive, but also, we've had an issue, a couple businesses in town, people come in stealing our potted plants and our pots and things, I mean, literally right out of the ground. So the last thing I'd wanna do is invest in a bunch of expensive trees and have someone literally come and dig them up over the night. Because they know that there's value to them and they'll go, you know, so anyway, that has happened and is happening, so.
Didn't they stole the Hoptown tree?
Yeah.
Or Hoptown, they literally stole our planters out front, and then they, at SM2, they stole flowers out of their pots. The pots were too heavy to carry, so there's, you know, it's not everywhere, but in the yellow nursery, Yellow Rose had thousands and thousands of dollars worth stolen. So, you know,
Wow,
it's tough.
shifty.
Yeah. So anyway, just, I'm thinking about xeriscape, you know.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely do some research and kind of bring it up during the next planning commission. I'll see what other municipalities, have said and kind of bring that up. Is that something that you guys would want to look at, seeing how other municipalities kind of word it? Okay.
Yes, and specifically towns that are maybe, comparable to Sunnyside.
Our side, yeah, okay.
And that'd be a great idea, because if you notice this, most of this dates back to 2004, and that's when Commissioner Gary was on the city council, and I do remember there was a lot of resistance to this. So I think it'd be a great idea if we do revisit this whole policy and tweak it a little bit to be a little more friendly, especially for people who want to build new properties here.
Cool. All right, great. So I'm gonna flip over to, diatomaceous trees shall be used at parking lot islands and on the south side buildings to provide natural cooling. It's, once again, I like in the parking lot islands, I think that that is a great idea. I have not seen too much implementation of they need to be used on the south side of buildings to provide natural cooling. I have not seen that too much in Sunnyside, so that's just something where if it's not, you know, actually in use, then why would we have it in our municipal code? I don't like it when municipal codes do that. So that's something that we could probably look at either being addressing or implementing. And that's just something that I wanted to give food for thought. The next page, it says it should be, it has Board of Adjustments highlighted. That should be Planning Commission, correct?
Well, it's either hearing examiner or planning commission. We'll have to just pull it out a little bit further and specify which goes to what.
Okay, great. So I just wanted to put that one out there. And then following that 1765-110 enforcement. Provisions of this article may be enforced by the property maintenance facilitator or by other enforcement agencies. I'm just gonna switch that to code enforcement, or that's kind of what I was proposing. Switch it to code enforcement. I don't know if we have a property maintenance facilitator. And then on the next page, 1765-140 applicability. Section B, where it says 50%, I would want to bump that down to 25%. That's what I saw in other municipalities once again. And then the modifications of standards, instead of staff review committee, I said planning commission.
No, so this would be city staff. And then we could also define it out a little bit further on what needs to be bumped to planning commission or hearing examiner. We don't have a staff review committee. Typically, that's if a city does have something like that, typically it's comprised of like a development services team, like public works,
Okay.
building official, that kind of thing.
Okay. And then I highlighted an area in blue because when I read this, it just really made me laugh. In no case shall bare dirt be exposed except for small areas around plants, trees, and other shrubs, etc., or an area designated for a garden in which case the area shall be properly watered and maintained, not to cause any dust problems. Now, the reason why I laugh at this is because the massive dust storm that happened this weekend. And I feel like that there should be either accountability on the planning's end to look at site plans and say, hey, this needs to be adjusted, or really, I don't know how we would go about implementing this again, but it just seems like Sunnyside is pretty bare when it comes to this, and this is once again one of those things where it's like, do we just need to take it out because it's not being implemented? And I just wanted to present that.
No, there's some different, I think this applies to several scenarios. I think that the idea is to, like in our downtown, either have it being used as landscaping or having it used as a parking area, not having it be a gravel lot. We do have like our lots that are subdivisions that are currently in development right now. Those are functioning underneath SWIP permits to try to maintain, keep the dust down. Typically, if there is a dust issue on those big developments, we'll ask the developer to go take a water truck over the top that goes down. We can't always control the weather, and sometimes on the weekends it's you know, it could be windy one day, not windy the next.
Yeah.
So sometimes people are here, sometimes they're not. So it's just catching it at the right time. But yeah, I guess this one is definitely food for thought a little bit. So.
Yeah, this is just something where it's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna have to start being implemented pretty heavily. I see in the planning department when we look at site plans, so. Just some food for thought about this. This is all stuff that is obviously still in the municipal code, so no altering has happened, nothing new is being proposed, but it has been something that I think that the planning commission should have some say in, and especially with the appeal of where we want Sunnyside to go. Do we want it to have a certain curb appeal, and this, you guys would be the commission to do so.
I got a question real quick regarding the dust problems. Does the Yakima Clean Air Authority have any jurisdiction over that?
So typically, the Clean Air Authority, a little bit, so typically it's part of what's called a SWIP permit, and that's their stormwater prevention, pollution prevention permit. So it's typically administered, any sort of dust is typically administered through ecology. And they'd be the ones to exercise authority on that, and typically their exercising authority is telling the city to tell the developer to get somebody out there and fix it. So it's, the dust is usually, because it's also considered track out, which then goes, track out is just, fine particulate that can go into our waterways, our sewer systems, our open ditches, that kind of thing. So us and ecology and are mostly responsible for managing that, maintaining that.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
So, in addition to this, so this overall changes, so we are currently working on, remember last year when we had the big packet full of code changes for you? We'll have another one this year. It's not gonna be as extensive as the one last year. Last year was a big cleanup year. We have some lingering stuff from that, not much. But we'll, anything you want to see from these landscaping standards, anything you want to see from here, forwarded into that, by all means, let us know. And then we'll have some other stuff we're gonna kind of feed your way, and we'll be asking for your feedback.
Right, thanks you guys.
Thank you, Sydney. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is our next regular meeting, which is set for April 9th. Does anyone have an issue with that date? I know I'm clear.
I have no issues with that date.
Okay, and we do have some vacancies, for our planning commission right now. So if anyone has any thoughts or ideas, and applications are at the city hall, so.
Yeah, contact either Jacqueline Cantabria or contact Jackie, our city clerk, and she'll be able to help anybody with that process. We have 2 that are known right now, a third that's maybe it's Mr. Gary's spot. I'll be double checking on that one tomorrow, just to verify if it is or is not, and I'll be contacting Mr. Gary if it is or not.
And I want to state for the record, I think I've done this a couple years ago. Sometimes these expiration funding states pop up, and I'd like it to be an option for, since this is a volunteer position and it's sometimes hard to fill, that if they'd like to stay on, that they stay on as long as there's not a lot of applicants that maybe are better qualified. So if we can pass that on to the mayor or city manager, interim city manager.
I think the next 2 that are up are Ms. Condolen's and yours.
Right.
Yeah. So if you want. So, and I think those are maybe June.
Commissioners, do you have any other comments or concerns? Okay, 6:31, adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you so much. You guys have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.